Okay, we're going to keep this smoking theme going for one more week with a recipe that has been asked for repeatedly since I posted a similar reel on Instagram about a month ago. But really, I'm showing off and hope someone notices me and wants to really fund my barbecue dreams. I'll be waiting here for you. Let's dive into this and start off with the same rub we did last week on those lovely wings. That's perfect for beef, pork, and poultry. Full recipe is listed below, but we have ancho chili, smoked paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, kosher salt, brown sugar, chili powder, regular paprika, cumin, cayenne, dried mustard, black pepper, oregano, and thyme. Throw it in a bowl or a quart, whisk and shake it all together, and boom, the rub is done. Now for the pork, we're using a pork shoulder today, but you can use a picnic or butt as often called. Note that the butt doesn't actually come from the butt. It's actually above from where the shoulder comes from. Now the actual butt here would be called a ham for this fine swine. Using a sharp boning knife like you see here, begin by removing any excess fat and flap or hanging meat as they call it. This will dry up quite fast and burn later on in the smoke. We want to trim most of this outside fat off as this shoulder will have a ton of intramuscular fat running through it. Now also just to note, that rod I just used in the beginning is not a sharpener. You need a sharp knife for this. That rod again is a honing rod that helps keep a sharp edge, but if your knife isn't sharp to begin with, it won't be doing much for you, which leads me to my next question. Y'all want a sharpening vid? Should we do a sharpening video in the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know what you think, and maybe we'll get one in the works soon. Okay, back to our pork shoulder. We also want to take off this outside jacket that you see me meticulously going around trying to trim. Be careful when you do this to always be cutting away from you and never cross your hands. You'll risk an accident, and trust me, those aren't pretty. Hold the flap you are trying to remove and allow the weight of the meat to help hold the meat down as you run a knife or score the inner lining of the skin in little cuts till it starts to come off how you want it. Then before you know it, it can kind of just drop using the weight and gravity of the meat, and you can easily just score and get this jacket off like so. Now that our shoulder is all cleaned up and nice, it's time to apply our rub. I use mustard, but you can use olive oil or even hot sauce here. We want to create a layer that's going to help our rub stick to the pork. If you don't like mustard, keep it to yourself. We don't want to hear about it. And frankly, mustard will be the last thing you taste here. Between the rub and the smoke time, you'll lose all evidence of mustard ever being applied, I promise you. Next, generously cover your shoulder in every nook and cranny with your rub. Once completely covered, you're going to walk away and leave this for about 20 to 30 minutes. We want that rub to start pulling out moisture from the pork. This is going to help achieve a beautiful bark for our pork shoulder. We can call this step the meat sweats, if you'd like. When you have some nice residue like so, you're ready for your smoke. 250 degrees over applewood till we reach an internal temperature of 165. Now, two things to note. We want this away from direct heat, which isn't a problem with our Traeger here. Second, I have a pan again in the upper right corner with some apple juice or apple vinegar to keep the humidity going. Also, for a bigger cut like this, every 60 minutes or so I will be spraying the outside like you see here with apple cider to again keep that moisture level. Once our shoulder hits an internal temperature of 165 degrees, she's ready to wrap. Transfer to a foil pan or heat-proof dish and add the pan cider to it. If we're measuring, it's probably about a half to 3/4 of a cup total. Next, we'll hit it with one stick of unsalted butter, cut into cubes and laid over our pork evenly. Then about 1 to 1.5 cups of packed light brown sugar. Depending on your taste, you can go more or less here. With the juice we're going to get from that butter, sugar, vinegar, and pan drippings, I promise you, we won't be needing any barbecue sauce for this one, folks. Cover with foil and back in the smoker till she hits an internal temperature of 205 degrees. Now, keep in mind, anytime you wrap in foil, your cook time goes a little faster, so keep a closer eye on it this round. It's going to go quick. When we're at 205 degrees, we've reached our destination and you can remove the pork. Let her rest for an hour to reset all those juices and allow the meat to relax. This bone should slide right out, and if so, you did your job right. Now you can see we have a great color on here. It literally just wants to fall apart. Just look at that texture, but how's it taste? Ugh, like the heavens of Valhalla. You nailed it, big guy. I like to attack this by section, separating and discarding any noticeable fat pockets that won't be pleasant to chew on later. Then just start tearing away. Notice how easy this just falls apart, like it wants to fall apart. God, there's nothing better than sweaty, delicious, juicy pork. The only rule I have here is that you never, ever use a knife to cut your pork up. It's called pulled pork for a reason, bucko. Now we're going to introduce all of that lovely, juicy pulled pork to further juice that up with that butter, sugar, rub, acid, pan dripping mix of, oh, goodness. Look at that. You really don't get anything more natural or better than that bite right there. Let's build a sandwich, shall we? Martin's potato roll, because in the world of barbecue, nothing else will suffice. Pile high your shredded, delicious meat. Make sure you get the nice, crunchy little bark and bits in there too. Oh, and hit it with a little extra of that love juice. Some nice sour pickles that you have seen in my previous videos, like the Kitchen Essentials video. Grab your favorite hot sauce. Mine's the Louisiana Hot. Top off your cap, if you will. And I'm speechless, if we're being honest. Guys, that's a pulled pork sandwich. There's been a lot of BS on the internet on who has the best pulled pork sandwich. You do, and it's in your backyard. Get out there, light that fire. Look at this. This took what, maybe 8.5 hours, I believe, for a 5-pound pork shoulder. Oh my God. Guys, I cried when I ate this. It was ridiculous. I'm going to need a minute. We'll see you next time, folks. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Stay hungry.